The last 4 Super Bowls have been predicted by the colors within the Super Bowl logos. However, this year's Super Bowl logo includes 8 colors, which equates to basically any team in the NFL. With that in mind, these are my way too early predictions for next year's NFL postseason. Starting with the 1 seeds, I have the 2 bird teams, the Ravens and the Eagles. These are both really strong rosters with good running backs, good quarterbacks, good defenses, all around just good teams. At the 2 seeds, I have the Bills and the 49ers. The Bills also have a great roster, however, they lack a little bit in the receiving area. The 49ers, on the other hand, coming off of the injury-riddled season that they had this past year, it's hard to predict where they're going to sit next year. At the 3 spots, I have 2 teams that had a combined 30 wins in this past regular season. It's really hard to maintain that many wins for 2 seasons in a row, so I think both of these teams are going to fall a little bit. For the 4 seeds, I have the Texans and the Falcons. The Texans have been the 4 seed for like 3 years in a row, so there's not really much to say there. I don't think they're getting much better or much worse, so I think they'll stay in about the same spot. The Falcons, on the other hand, have been on the uprise for 2 years now, and I think this is when they're finally going to poke through. It's really hard to make it back to the playoffs after making it there 1 year, and the Buccaneers have done it for like 3 years in a row, and I really think this is the year that they're going to fall off. At the 5 spot, I have 2 really good rosters in the Bengals and the Commanders. However, both of these teams are in divisions that just have a better team. As you can see, the Ravens and the Eagles are both the 1 seeds. So I think these will be the best teams in the NFL not to win a division. At the 6th spot, I have the Colts and the Packers. The Packers have been the youngest team in the league for the past 2 years. And if you look at the past 10 years of the youngest team in the NFL, no team has been as good as the Packers or even close to it, really. I think the Packers will definitely improve as time goes on since they are such a young team. And then on the other side with the Colts, I think they have a great roster with a good running back and good wide receivers, and if they can get their defense and quarterback situation figured out, I think they can make a push for the playoffs. At the 7 spots, I basically just chose 2 teams that I could see possibly having an uprising next year. As you can see, the Patriots in the AFC with Drake May. I know it's his sophomore season, but he could definitely make a push for the postseason after a couple of those wins that we saw last year. The Cowboys, on the other hand, are coming off of a bad year. However, they also dealt with a lot of injuries similar to the 49ers. I think if they can stay healthy next year, they could definitely be right back in the playoffs. For our first game in the AFC wildcard round, we have the Bills versus the Patriots. While I think that the Patriots could definitely make a push for the postseason, I'm not so sure about getting a win against the Bills in the postseason. Josh Allen's coming off of his MVP season, and it's hard to see him losing this game. After that, we have the Chiefs versus the Colts, and I don't really think I have to say much here. The Chiefs are not losing in the wildcard round to the Colts. And then for the 4 versus the 5 seed, we have the Texans versus the Bengals. The Bengals obviously had some huge issues with their defense this year, so they will definitely be trying to fix that, and if they can get that fixed, I actually think that they will move past the Texans. Over to the NFC, we have the 49ers versus the Cowboys. This is a game that we saw a couple years ago in the postseason, and I think actually the year before that too, and I think the same result as those 2 games is going to be the 49ers coming away with the victory. The Cowboys are not really a playoff team no matter how good they are, and so I will take the 49ers over them any day. The Lions versus the Packers, however, could be an interesting game. 2 divisional rivals that either team could come away with a victory here. However, I think that the Lions, just coming off of losing in the first game they played in the postseason this year, they are going to be gunning it to try and make it far next year. Give me the Lions over the Packers. And then we have the Falcons versus the Commanders, and I think that these are going to be 2 pretty evenly matched teams. However, I think it's going to come down to who has the better quarterback, which is definitely going to be Jaden Daniels. So the Commanders will move on to play the Eagles once again. For the AFC divisional round, we have the Ravens versus the Bengals. The 1 versus the 5 seed, a divisional matchup, so once again, either team could come away with this. However, I just think that the Bengals are not going to be able to keep up with this strong Ravens team. Lamar Jackson actually coming off of a runner-up MVP season, and before that, an MVP season. And then, once again, we have the Bills versus the Chiefs. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. I think it's been 4 years in a row that they've played in the postseason, and every single time the Chiefs have come out on top. And who am I to say that they won't move on again? The Chiefs have made it to the AFC Championship for like 6 years in a row, and I'm not going to be the one who says it's going to end this year. Give me the Chiefs into the AFC Championship. As for the NFC, we have a rematch of the postseason game from this year where the Eagles came out on top against the Commanders, and I'm going to have to take them again. This is such a strong team with Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and their defense is good too. I don't think Jaden Daniels, no matter how good he plays, is going to be able to keep up with that offense. And then we have another rematch from a couple years ago, the 49ers versus the Lions. And once again, I think it's going to come down to who wants it more, and I think the Lions are definitely going to want it more coming off of the season that they are coming off of. Then for the AFC Championship, we have the Ravens Ravens versus the Chiefs. This is actually an exact copy of what happened 2 years ago. However, I just think the Chiefs can't make it to the Super Bowl every single year. Give me the Ravens to finally make it to the Super Bowl. It has been long in the running with Lamar Jackson playing like he has been, and I think the Ravens will finally make a push for the Super Bowl. Then on the NFC side, we have the Eagles versus the Lions. Definitely two of the better teams in the NFC. Two of the best running back cores in the nation, going up head to head. Great quarterbacks as well. Great defense holds them together. But I think the Lions are just going to want it more. It is finally their year this next season to make it to the Super Bowl. So we have the Ravens versus the Lions in the Super Bowl this year, and they definitely have contrasting strengths and weaknesses. While they both have good running backs, the Ravens definitely have a much better quarterback, but the Lions definitely have much better receivers. The Lions do have some great DBs in Brian Branch and Kerry Joseph, not to mention the return of Aiden Hutchinson. However, I think it comes down to just the fact that the Ravens have been among the Super Bowl favorites for the past 5 years in a row, and it's really hard to say that they're never going to get one. Give me the Ravens over the Lions in Super Bowl 60. Now, I know you guys are not going to agree with a lot of these picks. Feel free to leave your opinions down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, consider subscribing. It'd help me out a lot more than you think. And be sure to tune in for the next video.